Welcome to Ocean Liners on Print. We are at the Manhattan Cruise Terminal on the west side of Manhattan. To me, this is hallowed ground. You see, during the 1960s, my parents took me to the original North River piers right over here on this site. This is a time where you could board ships without a ticket as a visitor up until the announcement was made, all visitors on shore. Well, I had the fortune to board the United States and the France. As a young boy, the sight of the Michelangelo, the France with a big U pulling away from the dock has left an impression that'll stay with me forever. During this time, I have collected print memorabilia of ocean liners and would like to share my collection and additional resources I've researched with you. I'm Ira, and I would like to be your captain on a voyage through maritime history via Ocean Liners on Print. So let's cast off, get underway, and dive into the video. This is Ira Lipson, and welcome to Ocean Liners on Print, where we are about to time travel. So put your baggage tags on your luggage. We have a ship to catch. We're catching the SS France. You are probably wondering why the SS France hat. Well, in 1966, my parents took me on board the France as a visitor and bought me this hat in the gift shop on board. What was the genesis of the France? The French line could have found itself after World War II with an amazing fleet of ocean liners. Unfortunately, the French line had terrible luck during the 1930s and early 1940s with fire. Fire claimed the Lafayette, the Paris, the L'Antique, and the ship that many regard as the grandest ocean liner of them all, the Normandie. Yes, much of the French line was up in smoke. In addition, the French line lost the Champlain when it hit a mine and was torpedoed during World War II. After World War II, the French line's transatlantic fleet was reduced to the de Grasse and the Ile-de-France. As reparations from Germany, the United States received the North German Lloyd ship, the Europa. Through a deal, the ship was handed over to the French and renamed Liberté. So, by the mid-1950s, the Ile-de-France and the Liberté which entered service respectively in 1927 and 1929, were approaching obsolescence. The Flandre, a new build, was brought into service for the French line in 1952. Most of the French line's fleet had to be replaced. At the same time, the French line never got over the loss of the Normandie. This is evidenced by this 1950s ad for the French line. Note that at the bottom right of the ad is an image of the bow of the Normandie. The French line was paying homage to this great ship well through the 1950s. The result was an initial design for the France to be put on paper in 1956. The external design of the France was inspired by the Normandie. While the France kept the French line's transatlantic service alive, till 1974. The ship financially drained the company. The oil crisis of 1973 led to a dramatic rise in the cost of oil, making it more difficult for the France to be economically viable. The loss of the operating subsidy from the French government ceased the career of the France in 1974. And so this was the finale of the France. Or was it? This sleeping beauty was awoken in 1979 when the Norwegian Cruise Line purchased the ship to rename it Norway. This reincarnation turned out to make the France the most influential ship on the cruise market of all time. So let's get started with ocean liners on print.
Let's revisit Up in Smoke. Not the movie, but where does smoke leave a ship during normal operation? Post-World War II, some maritime architects developed innovative forms to emit exhaust. Let's start with the Coronia of the Cunard line that had a wide version of a traditional funnel. The Sagafjord of the Norwegian American line strayed from the traditional boxy-looking funnel and made a sleek form. The United States funnels had angled fins on the top to deflect the trajectory of smoke away from the decks of the ship. The Oceanic of the home lines also had a deflector fin, but was more squat and was situated aft. The Brazil and Argentina of the Moore McCormick lines fooled everybody. What appeared to be a funnel was a sunbathing area. The ship's exhaust actually escaped through two pipe-like structures towards the ship's aft. The Rotterdam of Holland America line had a funnel or funnels that could be described as two pipe-like structures connected at the top. This one is super cool. The Michelangelo and Raffaello of the Italian line had a pipe-like uptake surrounded by lattice work and capped by an angled top. The QE2, or Queen Elizabeth II, has a funnel where the base, which is white, which is designed to cause air to lift, which pushed the exhaust away from the ship. This design worked so well that the same concept was applied to the funnel of the Queen Mary II. Last but not least is the funnel design for the France. These massive, imposing, yet brilliantly designed wings that spew the exhaust to the sides of the ship contributed to the distinctive look of the France. Iconic is, in my opinion, a word that is used so frequently that the meaning of the word is devalued. But hands down, the funnels of the France are iconic. The funnels of the France inspired the funnels of Carnival's new builds as they adapted a version of a winged funnel design. Of the funnel designs illustrated, which is your favorite? If you are a shippy, do you have any other favorite funnel designs? If so, please put them in the comment section below. In this brochure, France greets you. It's all about that funnel, Wow. We're going to explore some of the different outside areas as well as interior areas of the France. We first have the veranda deck. Here, I have never seen the bridge being portrayed in a brochure. Back in the day, it was commonplace for passengers to be able to visit the bridge. I remember those days visiting the bridge on board the Constitution, the Romanza, the Victoria, and the Sagafjord. Here we have people relaxing on the deck in a wooden chaise lounge. Far cry from today's plastic and metal chairs. Here we have the first class main hall. What 1960s colored carpeting. Growing up, my friends and I had either rich blue, bright red, or gold colored carpeting in our homes. Here, I know the French line is trying to demonstrate their attentive service, but 3 page boys to light a woman's cigarette. Today, that could be considered endangering one's health. Another perspective of one of the France's amazing funnels. The first class patio. It looks like the perfect place for relaxation and peace. The first class children's playroom. The first class main lounge. First class library. And here we have a first class stateroom. Do you think the page boy is going to wait till he gets a tip? Will he ask, is there anything wrong with the service if he doesn't get a tip? In this illustration, we have a first class stateroom bathroom. The first class salon. Deluxe apartment. Look at that sleek mid-century design. The cabaret bar. First class Chambord dining room. This is one of the most notable dining rooms afloat. If you notice the steps on the right leading down to the dining room, that was a French line signature, so people can make their grand entrance entering the dining room. The first class smoking room. Tourist class swimming pool. I think this is a much nicer space for a pool than the one that's on the lower deck that's designated for first class. The bar du salon, or public room for tourist class. This aerial view of the France shows its beautiful lines and, of course, its magnificent funnels. Here we have a tourist class cabin, definitely smaller than the first class offerings depicted. We can see that tourist class cabins as well are served by bellboys. The tourist class smoking room. Here we have the tourist class music room. Oh, that carpeting. The theater with mezzanine. First class was assigned to the mezzanine, while tourist class was assigned to orchestra. Go figure how they made that decision. The theater on the France is the largest afloat with 664 seats. The tourist class children's playroom. Jukebox, where you can attempt to play pinball while the ship is rocking. Here we have bowling on a ship that could be subject to rocking. That should be a lot of fun. Carefully chosen and trained ship's personnel of more than 1,000 ensure the efficient running of this great floating hotel and the well-being of passengers. The great French line tradition has always been her magnificent cuisine. 100 cooks, skilled to perfection, will make every meal a thrilling gourmet experience for you. Beyond the quote, the French line had a reputation for their cuisine that was hard to beat. The great length of the France and her two pairs of stabilizers ensure the absolute minimum of pitching and rolling. So stabilizers were a feature that were just starting to come onto cruise ships in the 1950s. So this was pretty advanced. The France is air conditioned throughout. That's also a feature of being fully air conditioned, which started in the 1950s. There is much to attract the young people. A special teenagers club, bowling alley, jukebox, etc. Children have their nursery, ultra-modern, well-equipped playrooms, and their own private dining rooms. Beyond this quote, it seems like the French line was doing a spectacular job trying to attract families. This was decades before the Big Red Boat, Disney Cruises, and of course today's family-friendly offerings from Carnival, Royal Caribbean, NCL, Celebrity, MSC, and others. Here, some of the bragging features of the SS France. The longest liner in the world, 1,035 feet long, 110 feet wide, gross tonnage of 66,000, passenger capacity of 2,044, and service speed of 30 knots. So yes, this was the longest liner in the world, even longer than the Queen Elizabeth and Queen Mary. And a service speed of 30 knots made it one of the fastest ships of its time. I love how it says, quote, in each class, information desks and radio services are at your disposal. They will provide you telephone connections with all points of the globe and will help you with all your problems in the course of the crossing. Close quote. So here, the need to be connected prior to the smartphone age is discussed. I don't know how confident I would feel about taking a voyage where someone could help me with my problems. The cut view of the ship shows the red areas for first class and the blue for tourist class. I like how each class has a similar amount of space. So here, we're talking about booking options, and you have the French line offices or your travel agent. And, quote, his expert counsel can stretch your travel dollars. He can suggest what to take along and offer dozens of travel hints. See your travel agent to make use of his services. Close quote. So this use of his and he was acceptable back then, certainly not today. This brings attention to the booking options, your travel agent or the French line. No booking websites. It is true to this day, and I found from experience that while there's few travel agents today, my wife and I one time worked with a travel agent not too long ago who really helped us save money and educated us on our options. So now we're on to the next brochure titled The France and the Atlantic 1970. The ultimate in sailing. On the largest passenger ship afloat, the SS France, you are surrounded by small French surprises, like when you reach for your big fluffy towel and find it is warmed by the specially heated towel rods, or when you discover that our shower heads are detachable and reach anywhere from the back of the tub to the back of your knees. Then there is Le Sauna. It is hot, dry, and soothing, and conveniently located near a cool pool. The shop chic alias the Galeries Lafayette is filled with goodies from the world's fashion capital. So it's interesting here that they consider a detachable shower head an innovation, but I think that it's really cool, and I don't mean that to be funny, that that you have a heated towel rack so that your towels don't get cold. Here is the tourist class Versailles dining room, the Saint-Tropez lounge. These are, by the way, all tourist public rooms. Then we have the Rive Gauche bar. And here is the Deauville Salon. Here's a picture of the playroom that has a wall with the funnels of the France painted mid-picture. You have to know where to board the France if you're going to be sailing from New York, and that's Pier 92 on the North River at the foot of West 52nd Street. Here is a rate list for vehicles carried as baggage, and it's by the weight. And so, for example, if someone was transporting their Cadillac Lincoln, which back in the day weighed about 5,500 pounds, that would cost about $525 round trip. So in $1970, that was a lot of money. As far as I'm concerned, why not rent a car? Here we have rates for animals carried as passengers' baggage. Dogs are $50 one way, cats $10 one way, birds $5 per cage up to 2 birds, and birds more than 2 in a cage, $10 per cage. Animals are placed in the care of the kennel attendant. Owners may visit kennels daily, but it is not possible to take the animals from the immediate area. This is something you don't see every day in a brochure. Immigrant westbound fares. And then underneath that, servants' rates. We then have a mention of kosher meal service. Kosher foods, both tinned and frozen, as well as fresh vegetables and fruits, are available on request. Tinned and frozen sounds like one step above airline food. The QE2, or Queen Elizabeth II of the Cunard line, had a kosher kitchen that served fresh food and directly competed with the France from 1969 to 1974. Entertainment and relaxation. Entertainment is one of the best in television, recorded music, concerts by the ship's orchestras, dancing, movies, and variety shows by top professional nightclub and theater artists. Shuffleboard, golf practice, ping pong, skeet shooting, and other deck games provide fun and exercise, as well as an opportunity to get acquainted with interesting fellow passengers. Many lifelong friendships have been formed on our liners. Squash, bowling alleys, skin diving lessons are available. French language classes and dance lessons are also available. 2 large swimming pools with adjoining gyms are popular gathering places for recreation or just plain relaxation. Also, popular games like bingo and cinema races are an exciting version of horse racing. Skeet shooting is when a device hurls a clay pigeon over the aft of the ship and a passenger uses a rifle to shoot at it. What a variety of activities aboard the France. Recorded music. First-class passengers have available at all times classical or light music in their cabins by pressing one of the buttons located on their dressing table or chest of drawers. In tourist class, light and classical music is broadcast at certain hours in the public rooms. Music rooms. Each class has a music room equipped with a piano and a tape recorder with stereophonic playback. These rooms afford music lovers and musicians alike a retreat where they may practice during the crossing. Reading. Spacious accommodations for reading and writing are provided, including up-to-date libraries containing approximately 6,000 books in English, German, French, Spanish, and Italian. Teenagers. They have their own club rooms featuring a wide variety of electric and mechanical games, including table hockey, soccer, bowling, and shooting galleries. A lounge nearly 100 feet is complete with a dance floor, jukebox, and an American-style soda fountain. What a variety of activities, and many of those to stimulate intellect. These rooms aboard the France had so much to offer for all passengers, regardless of age. Telephones. All cabins on the ship have dial telephones connecting directly to every other cabin and the various shops. Many cabins have ship-to-shore service. Telephone booths throughout the ship are equipped for ship-to-shore service, and they are available. So for its time, this solution for the need to connect long before iPhones and the internet was state-of-the-art for its time. Very few ships of the era offered such amenities. Television. Television sets are found in all deluxe suites and in all the public rooms except for such areas of quiet as the library and writing rooms. The main deck has a television studio with the most up-to-date equipment for live transmission or taping. Closed-circuit television brings news, French lessons, and films to passengers. This is mind-boggling to have TV recording studio and broadcast setup on a ship. This is amazing. The France was not only state-of-the-art architecturally, but also amenities-wise. By the way, reference to televisions as television sets takes me back to when you could choose between purchasing a black and white TV or a color TV. Theater, the largest afloat with 664 seats and designed for the best acoustics. The theater features full-length movies, musical concerts, lectures, and theatrical shows. It is also equipped for religious services of the major faiths. This brochure highlights a 39.5-day crossing, and here are those architectural marvels of funnel design. For 39.5 days, you are invited to live your daydreams on board the SS France. We have created a world for you without hours and minutes, only moments. That's brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant wording. Moments captured and savored by just a lucky few. We have created an atmosphere like no other on Earth. This is so creative and such brilliant messaging. Here is a description of the first-class Chambord dining room and the tourist-class Versailles dining room. Here we have a list of non-transatlantic voyages, including a 91-day round-the-world cruise. And when looking at any of these pages, if you want to focus more, please don't hesitate to press pause. Here is the map of the 39.5-day voyage covering the Caribbean, Rio de Janeiro, and West Africa. One of the pools, the Galeries Lafayette. Napoleon's wife Josephine could not have resisted this shot if she needed something to wear at the grand ball. If Napoleon dined on the France, he would have never conquered more than his appetite. Whoever wrote the content for this brochure was a true master of written communication. Somehow, you will feel like royalty on the France. So join us and be treated like Napoleon never was. This Napoleon theme at the end of this brochure closed me on wanting to go on the France. Who wouldn't like to be treated like Napoleon and Josephine? Ah, it's good to be the king. Another fabulous perspective of the funnel with the French flag, of course. The photographer for this brochure had a lot of fun with their wide-angle and fisheye lenses. Here is the 1971 to 1972 French line cruise schedule with an around the world in 80 days cruise on the France. Here is the 1974 transatlantic schedule for the France with a graphic that portrays those amazing funnels, and it says revised. Little did they know that the 1974 schedule would have to be revised again, and the France never completed the year, as this was the year that the French government cut its subsidy for the France. The crew went on strike, and the France was laid up in Le Havre. Here are some advertisements for the France. Note that they did away with the imagery of the Normandie in the lower right, as they did in the 1950s, and they replaced it with a depiction of those incredible funnels of the France. 6 cents a mile. For less than renting a car, the SS France sails you to Europe and gives you all of this. Having 37 years of sales and marketing experience, this ad misses the mark. Price does not sell. If you start out with price, the prospective client doesn't hear the features or benefits. Placing price up front shows desperation from the seller, in this case, the French line. Oh, they had the right to be desperate. The construction of the France was in its earlier phase when the first 707 crossed the Atlantic in October of 1958. By the time the France made its maiden voyage in February of 1962, it was all over. The vast majority of transatlantic travelers preferred to go by jet, leaving all transatlantic steamship companies in panic mode. The tagline, 6 cents a mile, demeans the proposition of luxury of the SS France. It's like Rolex offering buy one, get one free. Of course, Rolex will act only in accordance to protecting its brand, and I guess at this point in time, the French line was not in the same position. With this ad, I get it. They're saying you get so much for so little while showing the expansive deck you will get when choosing the SS France. But to say so much for so little is not what a luxury brand like the SS France should be touting. Now, this ad is more befitting of a true luxury liner like the France. The tagline, it's life aboard the France that makes the difference. Verbiage like, it's one of life's last great luxuries. It's fine French living. Using the word elegant. Here, they gave the France the praise that it was worthy of. And of course, the proud ship at its berth on the North River on the west side of Manhattan. What is for lunch in first class? So just a few things. White Bordeaux, white Burgundy, and red Bordeaux is included, so no extra charge. I thought this was a French ship. There seems to be a New Jersey theme going on. Potatoes Long Branch, broiled New Jersey young chicken with bacon, and Bayonne ham. That doesn't sound French to me. And what about eel from Kiel? 5 types of potatoes. Okay, so here we have baggage tags. What beautiful tags. This one says on the bottom, baggage room. That means once the luggage with that tag goes on board, it goes directly to the baggage room and stays there till you disembark. This is an important option for people who are taking the ship and starting their vacation once they arrive at the port of disembarkation. This way, the luggage intended to be used for the land portion of their trip does not have to take up room in one's cabin. Also, for immigrants who may be taking more items that they will only have use for when they arrive at their new homeland. The back of the baggage tag for the baggage room. A tourist class baggage tag. The rear of this tourist baggage tag says stateroom, which means that this piece of luggage needs to be delivered to the stateroom so it could be available for the cruise. Here is the front and rear of a first class passenger tag, which on its rear denotes first class and stateroom, meaning that it has to be delivered to the stateroom. And here we see a beautiful baggage sticker. And now, the moment we've been waiting for, to see a cross-sectional view of the France. This is the cover jacket. And this was done in the same fashion as the one that was designed for the Normandie several decades earlier. So, going from aft to forward, we start with the rudder, steering gear, and rear inboard propeller. On the top is the dome over the tourist class pool. Just above the forward outboard propeller is one of the garages with classic cars as depicted. At the top is the outdoor terrace for the smoking lounge, and then the smoking lounge with the domed sports deck above it. Now, several decks below the sports deck is the tourist class Versailles dining room. Then the turbines, condensers, and propeller shaft below the Versailles dining room. The freshwater machinery and the rear boiler room where the deadly boiler explosion occurred in 2003, which ended the France's career as the Norway. Directly above the aft boiler room, at the very top of the ship, is the aft funnel. Moving forward along the top of the ship, then from top to bottom, the forward funnel, the theater, first class Chambord dining room. Below that is the forward turbine room, and moving forward, we are in the forward boiler room. All the way to the top of the ship from the forward boiler room, of course, is that forward funnel. Notable is the bridge on top and the forward garage towards the bottom. Then the forward mooring gear, and then the anchor. I hope you enjoyed this tour of the ship as a cross-section. So, the France, originally at 66,000 tons, became 70,000 tons as the Norway, with a capacity of 2,000 passengers. When the Norway debuted in 1980, the typical cruise ship was about 18,000 to 25,000 tons, about a third of the size of the Norway. Some examples here include the Americanus, Britannis, and the Nordic Prince. Norwegian Cruise Line took a gamble to deploy such a large transatlantic liner for full-time Caribbean cruising. The gamble was an instant success. Other lines took notice and realized that the cruise market had incredible untapped potential. Like the nuclear arms race of the Cold War, competing cruise ship companies started building new ships to outdo each other in terms of size and capacity. This started in 1982 with Royal Caribbean's Song of America and Carnival's Tropical, both of about 37,000 tons. Other lines got into the race, but let's focus on Carnival and Royal Caribbean. Royal Caribbean inaugurated the Sovereign of the Seas, the first of three similar-sized ships, in 1988 at 73,000 tons. Carnival's Destiny became the first ship to break 100,000 tons. Carnival today has ships of over 180,000 tons. Royal Caribbean's Oasis-class ships are of at least 225,000 tons, and of course, there is the Icon of the Seas at 250,000 tons. The Icon can hold up to 7,600 passengers. So, this tonnage and capacity race has led to ships that are at least triple the size of the Norway.
If it wasn't for Norwegian Cruise Line taking the risk with the Norway, would the cruise market have grown to where it is today? No one can definitively answer that question, but I believe without the Norway, the cruise market and ship size would have increased, but not to the extent that it has. The Norway proved that large cruise ships could be successful, resulting in a dramatic increase in the number of cruise passengers. Ultimately, no other ship had a greater impact on the development of cruise ships than the France and then its conversion into Norway. Thank you for time traveling with me at Ocean Liners on Print. Please hit the subscribe button. It ensures you'll receive alerts on my latest videos, and of course, it helps the channel. Thank you so much.